Boko Haram is an Islamic extremist group that began an armed insurgency in the year 2009 in the northern eastern parts of Nigeria. After the 2009 crackdown, in which its founder, Mohammed Yusuf, was killed, they regrouped under Abubakar Shekau and escalated its attack. By 2013 to 2014, Boko Haram was already conducting massive raids, bombings, and even seizing territories in Borno and neighboring states. In 2014, the militants kidnapped 276 schoolgirls from Chibok, drawing global attention. That same year, Boko Haram killed over 5,500 persons, making it world's deadliest terrorist group. The insurgency created a humanitarian crisis, with hundreds and thousands displaced. In early 2015, Boko Haram launched an offensive territorial attack, declaring a caliphate in parts of the northeast. In March 2015, the group pledged allegiance to the Islamic State, indicating growing external jihadist influence. This security crisis unfolded a lot of political tensions. In February 2015, Nigeria's incumbent government under Goodluck Jonathan postponed a national election by 6 weeks, citing Boko Haram-related insecurity. The delay was controversial to the opposition, led by General Muhammad Buhari of All Progressive Congress, and international observers, including the US Obama administration, criticized it as politically motivated. The 2015 election was ultimately held at the end of March. Buhari, a former military ruler under the platform of APC from the north, defeated Jonathan. Many saw the election as a referendum on Jonathan's handling of Boko Haram. Indeed, Buhari campaigned on the promise to aggressively defeat the insurgents, accusing the previous government of incompetence in the fight. Observers noted widespread frustration in the northern Nigeria with Jonathan's performance against Boko Haram, which may have boosted Buhari's support in the north. During the 2014 to 2015 campaign, Nigerians' rival political camps traded accusations that the other side was somehow complicit in the Boko Haram insurgency. The People Democratic Party, PDP, then the ruling party under Jonathan, openly accused the opposition, APC, and Muhammad Buhari of being responsible for Boko Haram's insurgency. The APC vehemently denied these allegations and challenged the PDP to produce evidence. In March 2014, the APC spokesman, Lai Mohammed, stated, "We have absolutely no hand in this insurgency, and we dare anyone with contrary information to publish such today. He who alleges must prove." The APC accused the PDP of using Boko Haram as a political snare and distraction. He even noted that President Jonathan himself had admitted that Boko Haram sympathizers had infiltrated his own government, including the cabinet and security forces. The opposition argued that the ruling party's failure, incompetence, cluelessness, and collusions, in Jonathan's words, were the real reason the insurgency festered. APC officials suggested that massive security funds were mismanaged or diverted by insiders who have been benefiting massively from the huge funds being allocated to the security. Apart from partisan rhetorics, specific allegations emerged implicating certain individuals in supporting Boko Haram. In August 2014, an Australian negotiator, Dr. Stephen Davis, who had been engaged to help free Boko Haram hostages, made headlines by alleging that two prominent Nigerians were SEC sponsors. Former Borno State Governor Ali Mudu Sherif and ex-Army Chief Lieutenant General Azubi K. Sherif was a one-time APC ally, and Azubi K had served under Jonathan, suggesting that purported Boko Haram backers spanned both political camps. Both men strongly denied the claims, calling them unfounded and politically motivated. The Nigerian government were urged to investigate, and the APC even called for Sharif to be handed over to the ICC if guilty. Sharif, however, blamed the APC for sponsoring Davis' story to tarnish him after he defected to the People Democratic Party. Notably, no conclusive evidence was produced publicly to substantiate David's accusation. Nigerian security services questioned those named, but no charges ensured. These allegations remain unproven, illustrating how claims of Boko Haram sponsors have often been mired in politics, with each side suspecting the other, but little verified proof in public domain. There were also reports of collations at lower levels. Some Nigerian soldiers alleged that a few military officers betrayed units to Boko Haram or sold arms to the insurgents, suggesting sabotage from within. In one VOA report, an army private recounted how a commander deliberately withdrew troops and left his unit to be ambushed, and even recognized Boko Haram attackers as ex-military mercenaries. These anecdotes, along with the documented infiltrations of security agencies, raised concern that elements in government or the military were abetting the militants. However, Nigerian government has not yet publicly identified any top governments or figure as sponsors of Boko Haram. In 2012, President Jonathan had acknowledged that Boko Haram had penetrated his government. Governor Kashim Shettima's 2014 remark that some insurgents had sympathizers in high places echoed the reality of hidden external internal support, but no high-profile convictions followed. Thus, while allegations of collaborations with Boko Haram have been linked plentifully, especially in the charged atmosphere around the 2015 election, verifiable evidence has been scarce. The dominant view among analysts is that Boko Haram's rise was driven more by factors like state neglect, poverty, religious extremism, and tactical opportunism by the then former political party sponsorship, though political missteps certainly played a role in creating an enabling environment. Another important political factor cited was the feeling of marginalization in the Northeast. Even Jonathan's security advisor at the time, Chief Owoye Ozazi, controversially argued that PDP's internal politics helped trigger insurgency. He suggested in 2015 that undemocratic practices in candidate selection created resentment that exacerbated the Boko Haram crisis. While domestic factors were central, Boko Haram's rise also benefited from external influences. Nigerian and foreign intelligence indicated that Boko Haram established links with foreign jihadist network during its evolution. President Jonathan reviewed evidence that Boko Haram members had held meetings in North Africa, implying contacts with groups like Al-Qaeda. His national security advisor at the time, General Azazi, stated in 2012 that Boko Haram's increasing sophistication in weaponry and tactics points to help and training from outside group. He noted that evidence of meeting between Boko Haram leadership and outside groups, and that some Boko Haram leaders receive training abroad. This likely referred to ties with Al-Qaeda infiltrates. Indeed, Boko Haram was long suspected of links to Al-Qaeda. Regional dynamics also played a role. By 2014, Boko Haram was extending attacks into neighboring countries, Cameroon, Niger, Chad, prompting those governments to respond militarily. The African Union and Lake Chad region countries eventually formed a multinational joint task force to coordinate against Boko Haram. There were rumors of backdoor dealings between Boko Haram and local officials across borders. For instance, Chad's president Idris Deby was at the time suspected by Nigerian media of leveraging influence over certain Boko Haram factions during attempted peace negotiation. Boko Haram's March 2015 pledge of alliance to ISIS marked the most significant external influence. It transformed Boko Haram's image into that of a West Africa province of the Islamic State. After this pledge, Islamic State provided propaganda, support, and legitimacy to faction of Boko Haram. By 2016, the Islamic State recognized a new leadership for its Nigerian affiliates, causing Boko Haram to split into two factions, one loyal to IS, the other loyal to Shekau. The IS-linked faction received some assistance from ISIS Global Network, according to security analysts, further internationalizing the insurgency. Throughout Boko Haram's growth, foreign governments and international bodies responded only by sanctioning the group rather than engaging it. The United States of America officially designated Boko Haram as a foreign terrorist organization in November 2013. After several years of debate, the UN Security Council added Boko Haram to the Al-Qaeda's sanction list in 2014, signaling global consensus that Boko Haram was part of the broader jihadist threat. These steps aid to block financing or travel for any Boko Haram associates abroad. They also reflected recognition that Boko Haram was not merely a local Nigerian problem. However, it's important to note that no evidence has emerged of any Western government knowingly supporting Boko Haram. On the contrary, external factors were trying to contain the group's reach. Western intelligence did quietly assist Nigeria. For instance, the US, UK, and France provided intelligence and advisory support after the Chibok kidnappings. The US sent surveillance drones and multidisciplinary team to Abuja in 2014 to help locate the kidnapped girls and to advise Nigeria on counter-insurgency strategy. These assistance, while not always publicized, indicate that external influence was more often exerted against Boko Haram. Under President Barack Obama, 2009-2017, the United States' approach to Boko Haram was one of cautious support for Nigeria, coupled with concerns about human rights and governance. And initially, US officials were hesitant to get deeply involved in Nigerians' fight against Boko Haram. For a time, the State Department even resisted domestic calls to list Boko Haram as a terrorist organization, fearing it might elevate the group's profile or complicate diplomacy. And ultimately, as noted, the US did designated Boko Haram as an FTO in 2013, especially after Boko Haram's deadly 2013 attack on a UN facility in Abuja, escalating violence. The Obama administration treated Boko Haram as a serious terrorist threat. It worked with Nigerian and regional partners on a strategy to contain and degrade the group. However, US assistance had limits as Nigerian military were accused of abuses in the war against Boko Haram, triggering restrictions. As a result, the Obama administration denied and delayed certain arms sales requested by Nigeria, including advanced attack helicopters and other heavy weaponry on human rights grounds. This caused tension between the Nigerian government and the Washington. In fact, President Buhari had publicly cried that the US had restricted help to Nigerian government. But despite these frictions, the Obama government did support Nigerians' fight against Boko Haram in many concrete ways. The United States trained and allied Nigerian army units for counter-terrorism and provided equipment like a resistance armor vehicle to help troops counter roadside bombs. It is also very much important to clarify that there is no credible evidence that the Obama administration or the US in general ever supported or collaborated with Boko Haram. On the contrary, the US designated and fought the group. Some Nigerian commentator, frustrated by the arms embargo, speculated that the US was intentional in sabotaging Nigerians' efforts, an accusation US officials flatly rejected. When Muhammadu Buhari assumed office in May 2015, Boko Haram was still wreaking havoc, but its fortunes soon shifted under sustained military pressure. Buhari moved Nigeria's military command center to the front line in Borno and collaborated closely with Cameroon, Niger, and Chad to intensify the fight. By the end of 2015, Nigerian forces had reclaimed most of the territory Boko Haram once held. In 2015 December, President Muhammadu Buhari declared that Boko Haram was technically defeated. He told BBC that the insurgents could no longer mount conventional attack or hold cities, having been reduced to suicide bombings. Indeed, by the early 2016, Boko Haram had lost virtually all the towns it once controlled. People in the parts of northeast began returning home as the army established some level of security. Buhari accredited the improved situation to better organized operations and external support, noting that Nigeria's military had been re-equipped and retrained with the help of the Britain, the US, and France. Politically, after 2015, the open accusation of coalition died down, as Buhari's government was clearly committed to fighting Boko Haram. Buhari's northern background and military credentials initially gave confidence that they would take a harder line. Indeed, the Buhari's administration achieved some notable successes. Boko Haram's kidnapping of 276 Chibok girls had been a major scandal under Jonathan. Under Buhari negotiation, led to over 100 of those girls being freed in 2016 to 2017, suggesting a mix of military and diplomatic strategy. Buhari also pursued alleged corruption in military procurement from the prior era. For example, investigation found that billions of dollars meant for arms had gone missing, indirectly undermining the counter-insurgency. This lends credence to the idea that mismanagement had hampered the fight more than any deliberate collaboration. At the same time, Buhari's tenure faced its own criticisms regarding Boko Haram. As the insurgency dragged on in another form, opponents questioned why the promise to defeat Boko Haram in months proved optimistic. The arms, heavy-handed tactics continued to draw concern, and the humanitarian situation in the northeast became dire. By Buhari's second term, new security challenges were competing for attention, even as Boko Haram remained active in other areas. Throughout these developments, no evidence emerged of any collusion between the Buhari's government or APC officials and Boko Haram. If anything, Boko Haram attempted to assassinate or intimidate northern leaders associated with Buhari's party as much as it targeted PDP's leader. For instance, in late 2015, Boko Haram claimed responsibility for attack in Buhari's home state and an attempted bombing of a market frequented by most of political allies. Such incidents underscored that Boko Haram viewed the Nigerian state, regardless of party, as its enemy. The accusation from 2014 to 2015 linking Buhari APC to Boko Haram largely dissipated under the election, as they had been tied to campaign rhetorics. Nigerian security agencies under Buhari did arrest or investigate some individuals suspected of Boko Haram ties. But these were nationally prominent figures in his administration.